如果你在聆听时不需要频繁暂停就能理解大意，那么你的英语积累在日常表达中是完全够用的。像学母语一样学英语，我们开始吧。
Okay, I can tell you more about that crazy time I had. It was last Christmas and I was feeling pretty down. My big brother, DB, he's a writer. He used to write really good stories, but now he's out in Hollywood writing for the movies. I think it's kind of a waste, like he's just doing it for the money. It makes him a bit of a fake, if you ask me. Anyway, I had just left this school called Pensy. It was a fancy school, but it was full of fakes. I really can't stand fakes. They make me feel all mixed up and sad inside. When I knew I was leaving Pensy, I bought this red hat. It was a hunting hat with a very long peak. I wore it with the peak to the back most of the time. I liked that hat. It made me feel sort of safe, I guess. Before I officially left, I went to say bye to my history teacher. His name was Spencer, though I just called him Sir. He was old and very sick in bed with the flu. The whole room smelled like medicine. He knew I was kicked out. He even had my awful history paper I wrote about the Egyptians. He read some of it out loud to me, showing me how bad it was, like I didn't know already. Do you have any real interest in your future, boy? He asked. He tried to tell me about life like it was some big game and you had to play by the rules, and I just sat there nodding, but I was thinking life is only a game for people who are on the winning side. For others, it's not much of a game. I felt kind of sorry for him being so old and sick, but I also really wished I was somewhere else. It's hard to talk to grown-ups sometimes. They don't always get it. Back in my room at Pensy, it was pretty gloomy. The boy from the next room, Ackley, came in. He was a very tall boy with rounded shoulders and a lot of pimples on his face. He had really bad teeth too. He didn't go out much. He was always hanging around. He would come into my room and pick up my personal things like my pictures or my books and look at them without asking. Then he'd put them back in the wrong place. You know, it was super annoying. He also had this habit of cutting his fingernails, and sometimes the clippings would fall on my floor. I didn't like him very much, but he was lonely, you could tell. He didn't have many friends, so sometimes I'd talk to him just so he wouldn't be all alone. After Ackley finally left, my roommate Stradlater came in. He was a good-looking guy, popular, you know, but he was a bit of a secret slob. His razor was always rusty and yucky. He asked me to write a paper for him because he had a big date, a date with this girl, Jane. I knew Jane Gallagher. She lived next door to me one summer. We used to play checkers all the time, and she always kept her kings in the back row. She had a tough time at home, I think. Thinking about Stradlater, who didn't really care about girls. Being with Jane made my stomach feel all tight and funny. I really didn't like it. So I wrote the English paper for him, but I didn't write about some boring room or house like he wanted. I couldn't think of anything like that. So I wrote about a baseball glove. It was my little brother Allie's glove. Allie's not with us anymore. He got very sick and died. He was the best kid, so smart and kind, and he had bright red hair. He wrote poems all over his baseball glove in green ink, so he'd have something to read when he was in the outfield and nobody was hitting the ball. I miss him an awful, awful lot. So I wrote about that glove. When Stradlater got back from his date, he wasn't happy with the paper at all. "What's this about a baseball glove?" he said, all annoyed. "No wonder you're getting kicked out." He just didn't get it. Then I asked him about his date with Jane. He wouldn't tell me much, just smiled in this know-it-all way I didn't like. He said they just sat in the coach's car. I got really worried he might have been mean to her or tried to get fresh. "What did you do?" I kept asking. "Did you ask her if she still keeps her kings in the back row?" He just said, "Relax, kid." "Why are you so worried?" But I couldn't relax. I started yelling, and then we had a big fight. He was bigger and stronger than me. He knocked me down. My nose was bleeding all over the place. I felt awful, just awful. That's when I decided I had to get out of Pensy right then. I couldn't stand it another minute. So I packed my bags, put on my red hunting hat, and in the middle of the night, I left. I yelled, "Sleep tight, you morons!" Down the hallway before I went. I took a train to New York City. On the train, I met this lady. She was the mother of a boy from Pensy, a real mean kid. But I told her her son was a great guy, really popular and sensitive. I made up all this stuff. Sometimes I do that. I don't know why. Maybe to make people feel good, or maybe because I'm just so mixed up myself. When I got to New York, I didn't want to go home, and my parents didn't know I got kicked out of Pensy yet, and I didn't want to face them. So I got a room in this cheap hotel called the Edmont. Like, it was a crummy, rundown place. From my window, I saw some really weird things happening in other rooms across the way. People doing strange stuff. It made me feel even more lonely and kind of sick. Really, really lonely, like I was the only real person in the whole world. The next morning, after not much sleep, I went to a sandwich bar for breakfast. There were these two nuns sitting at the counter. They had kind faces and were carrying these cheap-looking old suitcases. They were school teachers moving to a new place. We started talking. I liked them. They weren't fakes at all. We even talked about books like Romeo and Juliet. It was a nice conversation. Before they left, I gave them $10 for their collection. It wasn't much, but it made me feel good to do something nice for people who were actually good. But mostly, I felt lonely. I went down to this little club in the hotel, the Lavender Room. I tried to talk to 3 ladies there. I even danced with one of them, and she wasn't a bad dancer, but they were kind of silly, always looking around for movie stars. Then they just left, and I was alone again, stuck with the bill. Later, the elevator man, a creepy guy named Maurice, asked if I wanted a girl to come to my room. I said, okay. I don't know why I said it. I guess I was just so darn lonely and confused. But when she came, this girl named Sunny, she was so young, probably my age. I just wanted to talk to her. I didn't want to do anything else. You just want to talk? She asked, looking really confused and a little mad. I said yes. She got annoyed and said it would still cost $10. I only gave her $5. Later, she and the elevator man came back. He was a big, tough guy. They were mean to me and took the other $5. He even snapped his fingers in my pajamas. I felt terrible and small and like a complete fool. The day after that, I called up this girl I used to know, Sally Hayes. She was pretty, but a little bit of a fake too. We went to a show in the afternoon. I hated the show. It was so phony, with actors trying too hard to sound clever. Sally loved it, of course. Then we went ice skating at Radio City. I started feeling all crazy and desperate. I asked Sally if she wanted to run away with me, go live in a cabin somewhere in Vermont or Massachusetts, just the two of us. We could have a good life, I told her. We could get married or something. She looked at me like I was completely nuts. You can't just do things like that, Holden, she said, getting all upset. We're practically children. We had a big, loud fight. I said some pretty mean things to her, called her a royal pain. She started to cry and then she left. I felt like a jerk. Everything I did seemed to go wrong. I tried to talk to another guy I knew, an older boy named Carl Luce. I thought he was smart and knew about life, but he just talked about himself and his girlfriend and didn't really listen to me when I tried to ask him serious questions. He left pretty quick. I ended up getting really, really sleepy from all the drinks I had by myself at the bar. I walked around Central Park for a while. It was freezing cold. I was thinking about the ducks in the pond near Central Park South. I wondered where they go when the pond freezes over. Do they fly away? Does someone come and take them? It worried me. I even dropped the record I bought for my little sister Phoebe. It was a special record called Little Shirley Beans. It broke into a million little pieces. That made me feel even worse. Phoebe, she's the best. She's just a kid, 10 years old, but she's super smart and she always listens. She has bright red hair and is skinny And she's a great dancer. I really, really wanted to see her. So late that night, I snuck into my own house. My parents were out. I woke Phoebe up. She was so happy to see me at first, gave me a big hug, but then she figured it out. "You got kicked out of school again, didn't you?" she said. Her voice was small and disappointed. She was really sad and mad at me. She even hid her face in her pillow. It hurt a lot to see her like that. "What are you going to do, Holden?" she asked. "Daddy's going to kill you." I told her I didn't know. I said I felt like everything was full of fakes, and I was sick of it. I told her about this idea I had. I picture all these little kids playing some game in this big field of rye, way up high on a cliff, and I'm standing on the edge of the cliff. What I have to do, I have to catch everybody if they start to go over the cliff. I mean, if they're running and they don't look where they're going, I'd just be the catcher in the rye and all, I told her. That's the only thing I'd really like to be. I know it's crazy. Phoebe listened like she always does. She's a good listener. She pointed out that the poem I was thinking of actually says, "If a body meet a body coming through the rye," not "catch a body." Maybe I did get it wrong. She's smart like that. After a while, my parents came home, so I had to leave. I called this man who used to be my English teacher, Antolini. He was young, and I used to like him a lot. He said I could come stay at his apartment. He and his wife were nice. He talked to me for a long time, gave me a drink. He said he was worried about me. He said he thought I was heading for a terrible, terrible fall. He wrote down a quote for me. I started to feel really tired and fell asleep on his couch. Then something weird happened. I woke up in the middle of the night and he was there in the dark, patting my head or something. It made me feel really strange and super scared. I didn't know what to do, so I made an excuse about getting my bags and I left real fast. I didn't know if he was being a fake too or what. It just spooked me. I ended up sleeping on a bench in the waiting room at Grand Central Station. I felt sick and awful, like I had a fever. The next day, I was walking around the city. I kept feeling like I was going to disappear every time I stepped off a curb to cross a street. It was a really scary feeling. I decided I had to get away from everyone. I saw bad words, swear words written on walls, even at Phoebe's school in the stairway. I tried to rub them off. I didn't want little kids like Phoebe to see them and wonder what they meant. It made me so mad. I decided I was going to run away, go out west where nobody knew me. I'd get a job at a gas station. I'd pretend I couldn't hear or talk. That way I wouldn't have to have any dumb, phony conversations with anyone ever again. I wanted to say goodbye to Phoebe, give her back some Christmas money she lent me, so I sent her a note to meet me at the Museum of Natural History. I liked that museum. Everything in there always stayed the same. The Eskimos were always finishing their fishing, the deer always drinking at the water hole. It was a place where nothing ever changed. When Phoebe showed up, she was dragging a big suitcase. "I'm going with you," she said, all serious. I was so surprised I almost fell over. I told her no, she couldn't. She's just a kid. She started to cry, great big tears. Seeing her like that with her little suitcase ready to go anywhere with me, I knew I couldn't leave. I couldn't do that to her. It wouldn't be fair. So I didn't go west. Instead, I took Phoebe to the park, to the zoo, and then to the carousel. She wanted to ride the carousel. I watched her go round and round on a painted horse trying to grab for the gold ring. It started to rain really hard, but I just sat there on a bench and watched her. She looked so happy going up and down, her red hair flying. And watching her, I started to feel happy too. Really, truly happy. For the first time in a long, long time, I almost cried. I was so happy. I didn't care that I was getting soaked. But that's mostly what happened. Now I'm here in this place. I got pretty sick after all that running around. They ask me a lot of questions here. They say I'm going to a new school in the fall. I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. It's funny. I've been talking about all these people like Stradlater and Ackley, and even that teacher, Spencer, and the elevator man, Maurice. And now I kind of miss them, even the fakes. It's weird, isn't it? Don't ever tell anybody anything. If you do, you start missing everybody.
太棒了！作为一个母语非英语的人，你把故事听完了，你离英语自由又近了一步。我们下个视频见。